Good evening and welcome to Real Talk with T. Holmes. I thank you for joining us this evening. Before the show gets started, we will go into a motivation segment. Last week I shared with you all that Satan had been on my behind. And this week, as I prepared for this episode, I thought to myself, Tammy, why would Satan not be on your ass? I mean, it is real talk, right? So why would he not be on your ass as many times as he has attempted, time after time, and he has yet to be successful? So I encourage you today that as we discuss the mind, be a warrior to fight our battles. And in the midst of being a warrior, understand that you're only defeated by your past. You know, our mind will play tricks on us. And in the midst of our mind playing tricks on us, we will determine if whether or not we allow that to dictate our actions. And in the midst of our actions being dictated, we can control our actions behind it. So I encourage you today, never give up, no matter what the circumstance may be. And I encourage you to continue to be who you are. Thank you. Now, as we go into our episode today, this evening's topic is the battle of the mind. And as we talk about the battle of the mind, you know, in the black community, we are dictated by one subject that we never want to discuss on a regular, and that's mental health. Because so many of us thinks that we don't need no medication or we think that we're crazy, but that's not the circumstance. Because so many of us deal with a lot of different things. And in the midst of dealing with those things, we want to allow our mind not to overthink. And in the midst of our minds overthinking, that causes us to have several actions behind our thoughts. So today we have a special guest. And how I encountered with this young lady, we actually used to attend church together. And it was something about her that always inspired me to watch her. Her mannerism, the way she walked, the way she talked, the way she carried herself. And I never really had a lot of conversation with her. But it was just something about her that attracted me to her. So this evening, I would like to introduce our guest for the evening. She's a certified mental health wellness life coach and founder of Empower My Life Health and Wellness. Please welcome Quantavia Foster. Quantavia,
Hey,
thank you for joining us this evening.
yes, thank you for having me.
I'm great. So Quantavia, of course, as I stated in the beginning, that we never had a lot of interaction. When I seen you week after week, but it was just something about me that drew me to you. And a couple of weeks after I had started preparing for the show, and I seen one of your lives about mental health, so I know that it was God that lined us up. So today I want you to express yourself um, and allow God to use you to help someone else, as I know that that's the reason why we're here. So I would like to, for you to open up and give us a little bit of information about yourself and your business.
Okay, of course. So as you stated before, I'm a certified life coach and I specialize in mental health. I am the founder and executive director of Empower My Life Health and Wellness. Um, I guess we can start off with, I can start off with explaining kind of what a life coach is. Um, if you think about a coach in sports, that's pretty much what a life coach is, but
Mm-hmm.
in life, a basketball coach or a football coach pretty much guides an individual toward reaching their full potential in that sport by, giving them tools and strategies on how to execute on the field. And so that's what I pretty much do as a life coach with each individual that I work with in their lives. And Empower My Life Health and Wellness is a faith based wellness company with a holistic approach to empowering individuals toward meaningful success, both personally and professionally. We help people to improve their mental, emotional, and spiritual health so that they can improve their physical health and reach their full potential in life, along with living a better quality life according to God.
Okay.
Um, There are various programs and services offered in order to aid individuals in that process. But right now, the only program and service that is ready and available to the public is Empower Me Life Coaching, where we just provide our clients with tools and strategies, education, healthy insight, and personal guidance in order to help them to gain clarity on their goals, identify the obstacles standing in the way of them reaching their goals, and help them to successfully overcome those obstacles. And of course, as a result, that puts them in a better position of again reaching their full potential, gaining meaningful success, and living an overall better quality life according to God.
Okay, thank you for that information. I noticed you said you talked about how they can set their goals and execute them. And that's very important because even as whether you're a young adult or an adult, a lot of times we as people are overwhelmed,
Yeah.
just based on thinking on how can we and if we can.
Right.
So, and sometimes we need people to talk to be able to
Mhm.
execute those plans and just get on a straight strategy. So this evening, I just have a few questions that I would like to ask you, and then you can execute your answers to be able to help others that's watching. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So as we talk about the battle of the mind, we know that the mind attempts to play tricks on us, and it'll
Mhm.
make us think what is really isn't. Okay,
Mhm.
so today, can you explain to us the difference between mental illness and a mental disorder?
Sure. So if you look at the word disorder, the word disorder is defined as being an illness that disrupts normal physical and mental functioning. So essentially, pretty much, illness and disorder is pretty much the same thing. Mental illness is a health problem that negatively affects the way, we think, we feel, we behave, and interact with others.
Okay, so would you think that a lot of it's just based over could be from compulsive thinking?
Some of it that like when we talk about mental illness is a very broad category. I mean, it ranges from depression, anxiety, to schizophrenia, to personality disorders, bipolar. I mean, it's so many different other illnesses that we don't commonly discuss and probably have never heard of, but it falls under that category. And that's one of the characteristics of what you just stated. That's just one of the characteristics of some of them, not all of them. So if you have
Okay,
depression, you're not going to automatically have the same characteristics as other mental illnesses and disorders. But
correct,
that's
because I
one of them.
do. Yeah, I do understand that different mental illness have different side effects. So,
Hmm.
and I do know that you will, act differently according to what you're diagnosed with.
Right.
Okay, so I know that you had your personal experience in the past, which led you begin to start to study the brain. And what you studied in the brain after your findings, can you tell us what led you to start to want to help others?
Yeah. So, um, I've experienced a lot of mental and emotional challenges that I later realized as I got older created those spiritual blockages keeping me from reaching God on the level I needed in order to get through life better. And so once I finally was able to overcome those challenges, God pretty much led me to pursuing a path of helping others to be able to do the same. So, here I am just trying to be obedient in what God has placed on my heart and just trying to allow Him to lead me in His way and His timing with this.
Okay. So, with your personal experience, were you ever diagnosed? And if so, what was your diagnosis?
Yeah. So, I was eventually diagnosed with depression and anxiety disorder.
Okay. So, with those diagnoses, what were some of your actions or your symptoms, should I say, that you felt that you dealt with on a daily basis?
Yeah. A lot of negative thinking, a lot of overthinking, a lot of self doubt, lack of motivation, um, wasn't able to concentrate and focus on things. It impacted my memory and my sleep negatively. Um, yeah, and it probably impaired my judgment as well. It did make it hard for me to interact with my family and friends. And I guess that's kind of how it probably affected them in a negative way. But yeah, that's pretty much.
Okay.
I even had suicidal
So,
thoughts as well.
okay. So, with your actions and the way that it impacted you, and it brought on an impact to your family, I myself have not had a personal experience like as the patient wise, but on the family member side of having to deal with it. And of course, being on that side, like it's not easy. You almost feel like you the patient as well, you know.
Yeah.
So during those times, and with you being just diagnosed with depression and anxiety, so this may not necessarily um, fit in your category, but were there times that you ever heard voices talking to you?
No. No, I
Okay.
haven't actually
Okay.
heard
So
any
the only reason
voices.
I asked that because I know in okay, I
Go ahead.
apologize. I asked
That's
that
okay.
because I know in different um, diagnosis, sometimes I've heard patients say that they've heard, a voice talk to them, telling them to do different things. So I just want to know, like, does it affect in all areas over the board?
No, no. With depression, anxiety, I didn't experience that. I usually don't typically hear people experience that when it comes to depression and anxiety. That's usually typically, like you kind of said, in other types of mental illnesses. But it's like depression and anxiety is tied into other mental illnesses too. So they can easily be experiencing depression and anxiety, but that also, when they experience that, that means something else is also taking place as far as another mental illness.
Okay, so it is common that you can be diagnosed with more than one mental illness at one time.
Most definitely. And a lot of the symptoms kind
Okay,
of
okay. So
are
can you
very
tell us
similar.
about? Oh, okay. So can you tell us about what age you were at the time when you start to notice the stronghold or the change in your mindset?
So the first, are you pretty much asking me when did I experience, like, when do I think I experienced depression and anxiety?
Correct.
So after, as I got older, I realized, thinking back, um, I probably displayed characteristics of depression a little bit. And I don't think it was for any specific reason. I think a lot of my thinking patterns were come from things genetically passed down to me. But I think in fifth grade is when I started to experience depression, and later on in middle school, anxiety, for various reasons, various things that was going on in my life at that time. But it started, I believe, officially as far as depression in the fifth grade, and anxiety. I would probably say more so of like seventh grade, give or take.
Okay. Now you said something that was very interesting to me. You said genetically that was passed down. Now
Hmm.
I am a firm believer to believe that things are generational curses and hereditary. And
Hmm.
I do know that a lot of times mental disorder or mental illness can be hereditary. So with the generational passed down, how do you feel about generational curses? And in the midst of the generational curses, I'm just speaking from the aspect of, because if it was passed down, that means that if mama and grandmama, great grandmama, great great grandmama, you know, during those times, we grew up, well, they grew up on, you pray about everything and you don't, and let that be. Of course, we're going to trust the Most High. So I think today the issue is that a lot of times we as black people, we don't think that we need medication. We don't need help. Because not all the time when you need medication, it can be just as simple as therapy, you know, coming to sit on your couch 2 or 3 times a week talking to you, now that you are a life coach. So the generational curses that come down, I think that's important that we as people start to look at that, because it is possible that it could have been 3, 4 generations ago that our ancestors dealt with this, and now it's just starting to manifest within us.
Hmm.
Do you feel that that's so?
Yeah, mental illness can definitely be passed down genetically from, your family history. Mental illness, along with that, mental illness can also come from situations that you've experienced, environmental influences. Your diet can actually put you in a position of experiencing certain symptoms of certain mental illnesses. So yeah, definitely it can be passed down genetically from your family history. As far as generational curses, that is a form of generational curse. Generational curses can be certain thinking patterns and limited beliefs that was also passed down to you from your family as well.
Okay. So you said something again that was interesting. You said your diet. Can you explain a little bit more of that to us?
Yeah, there are certain, foods, choices of foods that are unhealthy, that can negatively impact your body, and can also negatively impact your brain. Um, and you from there can start to experience maybe symptoms of depression. I know depression for sure, so I'm gonna stop right there because even with the information and education that I've gained thus far, I don't know everything, and so I'm not gonna speak beyond what I know, and I try not to speak what I think, but I do know for a fact that certain foods in your diet can trigger symptoms of depression. I'm not sure about symptoms of other mental illnesses, but I do know for sure depression. Not properly
Okay.
being
Well.
hydrated alone can actually trigger symptoms of depression, just you being dehydrated.
Okay. Okay. That's very interesting. So, can you tell me what was your breaking point in your life that you felt I really need some help, and it's okay whether I gotta take medication or if I need to go therapy, because what I hear a lot in our black community is we don't want to take medication because we think that people are going to think that we're crazy. It's not that we're crazy, because people can take medication and function like a normal person daily, and no one even has to know that you're on medication.
Hmm.
So, and I also see a lot of times when patients are struggling with mental illness, of course, they think it is nothing wrong with them. It's everybody else that's around them. So, can you tell us, what was your breaking point that you felt like I need to give me some help?
So I don't think I necessarily had a specific time in my life where I just quickly had a change of heart. Um,
Okay.
I've always been the type of person that wanted to be the best version of myself. And once I realized, I guess when I got older, I pretty much just got tired of feeling the way I was feeling. And so I kept trying to search for answers. I got to a point where I talked to my doctor, and we talked about options. Prescription medications were prescribed to me. I never took them until one time, which I believe was either my early 20s or like my mid 20s. And the only reason why I took it is because I acknowledged the fact and admitted that I was in a place in my life where I had reached a low place that I was struggling to come out of. And again, the way my mind is equipped, um, I can't allow myself to be in that low place and stay there. I can't accept that. I don't settle for less. And so I eventually took that medication just for a few months to get me out of that pit that I was experiencing. And from there, I just continued to search for answers and try to figure out, okay, I had to turn the mirror to me to figure out what's going on with me, what's causing this, why. I just started looking and doing a lot of self-evaluation, a lot of prayer. So with self-evaluation, prayer, and growing my relationship with Christ, that's what helped me to overcome my challenges. But again, it was not just one moment where I'm like, okay, I got to do something. It was always me trying to better myself and me struggling and me finding a way, and that didn't work. So I went over here, and I just kind of found my way slowly but surely to a place where I'm much better in a lot of aspects.
Okay, so that's great. So basically, you used all the resources that you can gravitate around you because I
Yeah.
know with my experience um, with family members, a lot of times it's time after time after time, being in
Mm-hmm.
the hospital, taking a medication, not taking a medication, and it's like a revolving door.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful to hear you say that you did a self evaluation within yourself. So
Yeah.
which means that you was not in denial. Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times that's what it be is that people are in denial and they think nothing is wrong with them and it's everyone else. So therefore they don't reach out for the extra resources.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I really appreciate that breakdown that you gave us because that basically answered my last question altogether. So, can you just give us a little bit more information about um, your company and how, if it's anyone that's watching, if they have family members or they are experiencing a low point at their life, how your services can be an advantage to them?
Okay. So again, Empower My Life Health and Wellness strives to help people to improve their mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health by educating them, giving them healthy insight and the personal guidance that they need. And so, some words of encouragement that I want to share with viewers now is to I feel like it's two reasons that interfere with us getting the help that we need. We're either miseducated or in denial. So yes, a lot of times we are in denial. We are noticing these symptoms, but yet we don't want to admit that we might be possibly falling under that category of mental illness. Our pride gets in the way, and our ego gets in the way, and we don't want to admit to it. But then it's also that aspect of being miseducated. So I definitely encourage individuals to educate themselves properly on what mental illness is, what mental health is, and then the different types of mental illness and its symptoms. With those two things, that should help you to take the steps toward improving, how you're functioning now so that you can function on the level that you need to be functioning on in order for you to be successful. And as far as my services, my life coaching services, life coaching and therapy are two different things. So I pretty much look at where you are now where you want to be and what's stopping you from getting there. But if you have unprocessed pain and trauma that you need to actually work through, and I feel like that may interfere with my services being as effective as it should, then I actually will refer you to go to a therapist or maybe your primary care physician to discuss other options. Because again, coaching and therapy is two different things. I work with people who are ready to make the change, ready to do the work, and are ready to make effort and not excuses. But some people are at that point, but they just have deeper things going on with them that they need to work through first before they're in position to be ready for my services. But my services can definitely help somebody that is at that point in their life where they're ready to make the necessary changes. They're ready, to make that effort and not excuses. And they just need guidance. They just need to know how to go about doing so, because a lot of times people in the world want to tell you what you should be doing with your life and who you should be and all of this, but they never show you the how. And so with my Empower Me Life coaching services that I offer at Empower My Life Health and Wellness, we take our time, we show you the how, we go at a healthy pace for you, and we're right there with you every step of the way. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Quantavia, thank you for all the information that you have given us this evening, and I am for certain that you have helped someone that's on this line or there's someone that's watching us. And my main focus of having you on was because I wanted to bring on someone who has experienced a mental disorder, whether it was just depression, anxiety, bipolar, or whatever.
Yeah,
Because where you once were, you're not there anymore. And in the
right.
midst of you not being there anymore, it shows others that you can overcome.
Hmm.
Now, one of the biggest things that you said that touched my heart this evening was about being in denial anymore. And that's a big, big factor. So I want to thank you for coming on this evening, and I want to thank you for sharing your story. Can you give us the information in case someone would like to contact you?
Yes. So right now, my website is undergoing some major changes. It is up and running, but I'm just not really promoting it right now. So if you would like a free Empower Hour coaching session with me, you can follow me on Facebook. Just type in my first and last name, which is listed below, Quantavia Foster, Facebook, and on Facebook, and follow me there and send me a message. You can also follow my Empower Me life coaching page on Instagram, which is Empower Me, all one word, underscore L for life, C for coach. That's Empower Me underscore LC on Instagram. So follow me on those two platforms and send me a message, and we can just kind of go from there. And I can go ahead and get you on the schedule for a free Empower Hour coaching session.
Okay, and before we go, Quantavia, just give us a brief summary what the free power hour, what that consists of.
So I pretty much just kind of, gauge where you are, figure out if you have any goals, and we just it's just kind of a way for me to see where you are, pretty much as I stated before, where you want to be and what are some of those obstacles. You kind of tell me in your own words why you feel like you need life coaching. And I come up with a game plan for you, and I share that game plan with you, as far as how my services can potentially help you in your individual situation. And
Okay.
I even
Well,
share with you certain tools and things like that you can take with you in the free session that can help you if you don't want to move forward with the mental makeover coaching package.
okay. Well, Quantavia, again, I thank you for joining us this evening,
Thank
and
you for
thank you for
having
your
me.
time.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so glad that you have this platform and God is using you in this way. So I'm going to continue to pray for you. And I encourage you to keep at it because we need this in this world, especially within our community.
Thank you so much, and I am receiving of all of that.
All right.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time. Okay, as Quantavia has given us this beneficial information, um, if we have anyone that's on this line who's ever having type of irrational thoughts or feelings, or you have a family member that you feel like that may be struggling with depression, anxiety, bipolar, or anything that they may need help for, the first thing I would say that it's not an easy task trying to get them help. You know, a lot of times in mental health, it's their own free will, so therefore you only getting help when it's too late. But definitely do not hesitate to reach out to Mobile Crisis, and that information number is 615-726-0125. And again, that's 615-726-0125. And as we close out this evening, the battle of the mind is a major concept that we as people need to think about daily. We think about the people we associate with, the things we listen to, the things we look at, and sometimes even family members. When you have all that toxic information and we harboring that in our mind, negative thoughts, you're going to have negative results. Positive thoughts, you're going to have positive thoughts. So therefore, I encourage you this evening that whatever it is, whoever it is, like it's okay to remove yourself from the situation. And in the midst of removing yourself from that situation, trust God along the way. And as you trust God, you pray and you first believe that the situation will be handled. Nevertheless, the battle of the mind is very serious because Satan will make you think things is when it really isn't. So I want to encourage you this evening that as you go forward for the rest of this week, that anything that you're harboring that's negative, we're going to replace it with positive. Because our thoughts becomes our words become our action, and our actions become our character. There you have it directly from Real Talk with T. Holmes. Take the risk or lose the chance. Have a great evening.